Is the day over yet? Is the week over yet? Is the month done yet? Because it has been an insane couple weeks. I'm sure you can see my cat right there on the table. Sometimes things are out of your control and can't you just can't deal anymore. And I think there is no word that is more true than when you're a creative because I feel like very rarely do things go on track and yet somehow things fall into place. And I've been fortunate because over the years, as I've been pursuing a creative life, people have given me pieces of advice that have been my North Stars to guide me through when things are just like, or even in the quiet times when you're like, am I ever going to work again? Stuff like that. And so I'm going to share those with you. But first, hi, I'm Roshni Lamino. I am an actress, voiceover artist, former touring singer songwriter, former game writer. I'm an author as well of fantasy novels. My cat is being insane and he'll probably join us in a minute. All right, Riley, come up here. I know you want to. Yeah, if I don't let you video bomb this thing, then you're gonna just go crazy. So this is Riley. He's my little writing buddy and my everything buddy. If you have an orange cat, you know. Um, yes. So I'd like to share with you some of the tips and tricks and stuff like that that have helped me through the years. And if you find that useful, please follow, share with your friends, say hi to the cat, all that good stuff. Yes. Hi. All right. Let's do this. Okay. I don't know if the purring is coming up on the mic, but if it is, it's like ASMR for you. Here we go. Okay, so in my high school days, I was crew mostly. I did a little bit of on stage stuff, but for the most part, I was crew. And I was props and then props master. And so part of being crew and just part of the fun was helping out and helping build the sets, right? And I remember this one afternoon, we were just all sitting around shooting the breeze or whatever, and there are like slabs of wood on stage or whatever. And one of the guys, um, I should say one of our crew members' father, who was volunteering to help us with the production, he came along and he said, "Guys, the set won't get done if you just sit there." And it was kind of like his thing. Like he kept saying it so much that we put it in the program as a joke after the show. But it stuck with me because he's right. And I think especially now looking back at, I'm older now and I can go, yeah, I understand now the value of time. Like you worked 9 to 5 and then you come here and you help us out volunteering your time to do physical labor because your son is working on the show. That's very kind of you. You probably just want to go home and eat and sleep, and maybe watch a TV show before you go to bed. So yeah, I can understand you being like, hey guys, come on, let's get this done because we don't want to waste time. And so sometimes when I look at my to-do list, especially right now, I'm balancing multiple projects. Yeah, I am. And cats. And the way my brain works is if I have multiple projects, I need to just start knocking things off the to-do list because otherwise I just shut down when I see how much stuff I have to do. And so sometimes I'll just say that to myself. The set won't get done if you just sit there. It's my motivator to push through and start taking things off my plate. So, yeah, the set won't get done if you just sit there. Another one, this one now from my college years. I've mentioned before, I used to work for the student paper and I did a run on all of the desks. And the copy desk, we had a pagination program that instead of saying save or save and exit, it said do it and leave. So you would read the copy, you would do your edits, proofing, all that stuff. You'd lay it out on the page, like in a page design program, and then you would do it and leave. And then it would go off to the printer. And I mean, it's funny, right? So much so that the copy desk had t-shirts made of the saying do it and leave. But it really makes sense for anybody in a creative field. I mean, honestly, I think even in any field, right? As long as you know you are performing or working to the highest standard that you possibly can, you do it and then you leave and you don't obsess over it. You leave it on the stage, you leave it on the page, you leave it on the canvas or whatever, and you move on. And sometimes if your art might not resonate with somebody, and you don't know why, but if you sit there and obsess about it, like if it's something beyond your control, like I'm not saying like, I turned in an essay with sloppy grammar and poor spelling. Like that's one thing. But if you did something to the best of your ability, you worked on that audition, you memorized those lines, you went in there and you nailed it and it was the best performance you ever gave. Even if they don't hire you, that's out of your control. All the stuff within your control, you do to the best of your ability, you do it, and then you leave and you don't look back. And that's all you can do. Because otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy obsessing over maybe I should have said it this way and not that way. Maybe I should have written this line and not that line. Mm-mm-mm. Do it to the best of your ability and then move on. So do it and leave. All right, Riley, what else do we got? So, oh, okay. This one, there's actually a lot of things that I picked up in college that helped me so immensely. These are all from my time working at different papers around the state on internships. So, from one photographer, he said, be hungry, right? Any assignment that comes through, be hungry. You want to keep taking pictures until, you know, the event's long over. Don't take a picture and then walk away and be done. You are the first there on assignment and you're the last to leave. Be hungry. And that's something that served me a lot of times as well, especially early on in my career, when you're still trying to build up your resume, still trying to build up your reel, still trying to build up your network. Be hungry. Take every opportunity. The other thing about, well, maybe not every opportunity, but take many opportunities, I should say. I mean, you do need to use a little bit of discernment. That's also part of it, though. The more you're exposed to see what's out there, the better discernment you will have. So when you do find bogus jobs and you do find bogus whatever offers, which you will as a creative, because there's a lot of people wanting to scam us, then you will have a better idea of like, oh no, this doesn't feel right. I'm not going to work on it. And you got to listen to that instinct. That's not something that anyone ever told me. It's just something in general. Trust your instincts. You have them for a reason. Another one, and this one I think I will expound on in a future video because this one has really been probably the biggest North Star of all the advice that I'm spouting right now, which is we are luck skill. And you need to have the skill so when luck comes along, you can back it up. Let me explain this a little bit. And like I said, I'll go into this really in depth later because it's just amazing. So, one of my friends at one of the papers I worked at, he had won an award while I was there. And it was a really cool photo. It was like a bunch of people, I think, rowing or something, and just the way it was shot, you could just feel it, the tension in their muscles and like the water like coming over the paddles, and just you could just feel it. It was amazing. And he deserved that award. Like I'm not saying it was a bad photo. But I remember he told me, I really wish that they would look at our tear sheets. Tear sheets are like, if you look at a newspaper, it would be like the sheet of that article or that photo from that day. So that's a tear sheet, like the one sheet. I don't know how else to describe it. He's like, I wish they would look at our like last, say, 6 tear sheets from the previous week so they could get an idea overall of how we are as a photographer instead of just basing it on the one shot. Because he said it was pure luck that I happened to be in that spot at that time to get that photo. But overall, I'm solid enough that like any of my photos, could convey the story. And what he was basically getting at is that when when you're in a creative life, you will have those opportunities. The one role that could define your career, the one agent who, if they pick up your book, it's going to be a bestseller, right? They'll have the right marketing tool or whatever, to put behind it. The one photo, right? The award-winning photo. But what he was getting at was if he didn't have the technical skills to back up that one photo, then when that photo happened of the people rowing down the river, then he would not have gotten the right shot. It might have been okay, it might have been decent, but it wouldn't have been like, wow, blow me away. So you will get those opportunities if you keep working hard, but you need to have the skill to back it up. So when that opportunity happens, you don't waste it. And so that's what he was talking about with luck skill. And that's really motivated me to get training, to keep working, and to keep improving my skills in the downtime. So when luck comes along, opportunities, I have the technical skills to back it up. It's very important. Maybe I explained it all there and I don't need to do another video, but I probably will because, like I said, it's very important. Okay, Kat, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not necessarily from a time period in my life, but I don't know if you've ever seen the movie You've Got Mail. Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks. It's a remake of an older movie called Shop Around the Corner. Super cute. There is a section in there a scene where the two rivals, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, they're talking, and her store has been shut down. Spoilers alert if you haven't seen it. Her bookstore has been shut down, and he goes to visit her, and they're kind of frenemies, right? They're getting a little bit friendlier. Like there's a slowly building attraction, and he says by way of apology, because it's his business that shut her business down, he says by way of apology, it wasn't personal, it was business. And she goes, what does that even mean? It should always start by being personal. Business should start by being personal. And I really liked that line because she's right. Now I understand Tom Hanks's Joe Fox is the character's name. I understand Joe Fox's thought also because you do need to have a bit of disconnect or a bit of distance from it. But at the same time, we're people, especially artists. We're people. We are the product. And so if anything, it should be personal, with a bit of professionalism, but personal. And you see it all the time in this business. There's a lot of artists who work together all the time and they came up together and because they like each other. I'm thinking of, like, for example, Tim Burton, right? He always cast Johnny Depp and he always cast Helena Bonham Carter, right? Because he liked them and he liked their work and they got along well. So there are definitely times when you want it to be personal because if you work well together, you're going to go far together. And so, if anything, business should be personal from You've Got Mail. So, I went to Nashville and I recorded a few albums, and my producer, it was kind of a it was kind of a backhanded compliment, but I got what he was talking about. So when I did my first album, he he said to me, I'd probably put you in, like, say, the 60 to 70th percentile of artists that I'm working with. And it's true. Like, yeah, right, Riley. He had some artists who were amazing, amazing singers, amazing songwriters. Like, they were definitely, you know, A tier, S tier, that sort of thing. He said to me, but you're so professional, Roshni, and your professionalism is going to take you farther than talent ever will. And I thought that was really interesting because I think as artists, we are always like, I want to be the best talent. I want to be the best singer. I want to be the best, painter or the best writer. Like, right? That's what we want. We want to be 5 stars. We want to win all the awards. That's what we feel. That's our ego talking. But you have to understand there's always going to be someone better than you. I am not Meryl Streep. She's amazing, but I'm not her. And even if I was similar to her, meaning like I looked like her, I was the same age as her, had the same opportunities, we probably would approach things very differently because we're just two different people coming from two different schools of thought and background and stuff like that. So everyone is going to be unique and different anyway, right? And as far as, you know, this kind of goes along with the luck skill thing, honestly, because you have to have the talent, aka the skill, to back it up when the opportunities come along. But if you're not professional, if you show up late to set, or you're never around when they need you, or you're hard to work with and you get a diva reputation, they're not going to call you back. And that is a very hard thing to overcome. I believe people can change, yes. But if you have a reputation where you're hard to work with, or you're ornery, or you're rude, it's very hard to overcome that. And especially for things like working on set, we're with each other 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours a day. Nobody wants to work with someone that they can't get along with, who has a reputation for being difficult. They don't want that. They don't want someone who's going to show up to set 5 hours late just because they feel like it and hold up the entire production. That's a very hard thing. I mean, maybe if you're, a superstar, you can get away with that, maybe. But, as far as most of us, working actors, working writers, working professionals, show up on time, do the work, be pleasant, make other people's lives easier, right? Be professional. Be very professional. So now that I've been in entertainment for a while, I understand now what my producer meant by that professionalism would take me farther than talent ever would. Because it has, you know. I'd like to think I'm good at what I do, but being professional and being courteous and being polite has also opened a lot of doors for me. My other cat right now is looking at me. She wants to also get up here, and I am holding Riley's tail because he keeps swiping it against the couch. What have I missed, guys? Have I missed anything? I'm looking at my list. Oh, here's the final one. Sorry, if you're going to put your tail here, it's going to be a pointer. The final one, which is not necessarily a creative lesson, but it is a life lesson. And this one is probably my guiding star for how I decide who I want to work with and who I let in my life and who stays in my life. So this one is kind of personal and professional. So when I was in high school, we had a teacher, Mr. Johnson. If you've ever seen the movie Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams, right? Remember Mr. Keating, Robin Williams's character? That was my teacher, Mr. Johnson. He was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've been lucky enough to have a few really wonderful teachers in my life, and he was one of them. And I remember towards the end of the school year, we were seniors, we were going to graduate. So I think he wanted us to have that one last important lesson before we went into the wider world. And he got up and he wrote on the board the word gentleman. And then he put a slash through gentle and man, right? Gentleman is a compound word. So he put a slash through gentle and man. And he said, "You are not a man unless you learn how to be gentle." And he said the same thing goes for gentle lady. And he wrote the word on the board, gentle lady. He put a slash through it. You are not a lady unless you learn how to be gentle, until you learn how to be gentle. And gentle doesn't mean weak. It doesn't mean soft or shy or retiring. It means kindness. It means restraint. If you're strong and you have the ability to hurt others, you have restraint. You're looking out for other people. It's kind of like being a knight of the realm in a way, right? I mean, I'm a fantasy writer, but that's what we loved, that chivalric code. You know what knights were like back in the day? One of my favorite actors Gregory Peck. When I think gentleman, I think Gregory Peck. You know, that refined, uh, just gentlemanly presence. He had strength and he exuded it, but he had restraint with it, you know? And so that's probably not necessarily like a career lesson. Speaking of gentle, Riley, you got to be a gentle cat. He's trying to chase my senior kitty. She is not having it. Poor thing is deaf, so she gets scared a lot. But that's a great example. You've got to learn to be gentle, right? Because you don't know where other people are coming from. And that gentleness, that restraint is going to take you very far. And people will remember that, that poise, that confidence, and that gentleness that you bring to things. So I should probably go see what's happening with my cats before the fur flies. But if this video helped you, please, you know where all the buttons are. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. If you want to check out my fantasy books, there will be links in the notes below. I also have a Discord channel if you want to keep the discussion going. What are some of your tips and tricks, sayings that your favorite professors, teachers, advisors, and stuff like that over the years have given you? I would love to hear what your North Star sayings are. And I will talk to you sometime soon.